Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On the show today, we talk water with the Kansas Secretary of Agriculture, Dr. Jackie McClaskey. Also, we were on the campus of Fort Hays State this week as they celebrated agriculture. We'll also have updates from the Kansas Soybean Commission, Kansas Department of Agriculture, the Kansas Livestock Association, and Paragon Ag Advisors. Another good show. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
We're joined now by the Kansas Secretary of Agriculture, Dr. Jackie McClaskey, and we're in Garden City just wrapping up the hopefully first Ogallala Aquifer Summit. What are some of your takeaways?
Well, first of all, it was very exciting to see folks from 8 states, all dependent on the Ogallala, to show up here in Garden City and really talk about the issues related to the Ogallala, but come with the intent that there's action in mind. It's not just about talk.
It was really in a pretty packed 24 hours. I mean, it wasn't just kind of sit back and share stories. It was really almost an action plan. It
was. There were folks from every state who showed up and talked about things they're doing in their state, whether it's individual farmers and ranchers and the things they're doing, local government officials and what they've done at that level, each state sharing about the things that they've been done. But the real key was learning from each other and then thinking about how, if we approach this issue with a regional partnership, how might we make greater progress.
How good was it to have it in Kansas?
It was great to have it in Kansas. When Governor Brownback issued the challenge for the governor's water vision, and we went out and talked to Kansans, they kept saying to us, well, what are other states doing, and what are you guys doing to talk to other states? We should be bringing those states together. So having an Ogallala Summit was actually an action item in the vision, and then became real through a grant effort put together by Colorado State and Kansas State. So being able to host that tied back to the vision, but it's also something that right from the beginning, the summit itself was a partnership.
So what happens next?
I think that's the big question at this point. Like so many people, we've all gone to meetings and we leave and say, that was great, I left enthused, I left inspired, now what? And I think the key here is how do we continue to hold each other accountable? And obviously in Kansas, we're going to continue to work on the things we've been working on, but the challenge comes in how do we spread that across multiple states? I
would guess there's an opportunity to hear from all the states that have a part of the aquifer underneath them, and have the states done a lot of the things that the Kansas has done? Kansas has been fairly aggressive over the last few years in trying to find ways to reduce usage.
I think each state has examples of things that they have done well. One of the things that is, first of all, reality is not all 8 states have the same water governance structure. In Kansas, we're all used to first in time, first in right, the Water Appropriations Act, and not all the states are governed in that same way. So it's never going to be something where we can all come up with the same solutions, but each state has good stories that they can talk about. And most importantly, each state has farmers and ranchers that are stepping forward and saying, look at what I've done to reduce water use on my farm or ranch.
A couple of things in Kansas that have we've seen success are some of the farms that are using less water, as well as the local action, the LEMAs. Were those highlighted here? They
were. We talked about our local enhanced management areas, which we are just going through the process of finalizing a nearly district-wide LEMA, and we now have another GMD board that is starting their approach towards a LEMA. We have multiple water conservation areas, and we talked about all of those here and had several of the folks engaged in those. And then one of the things we highlighted a lot was the water technology farms, because those are really good examples of showing where folks have reduced water usage without impacting their bottom line in a negative way. And those are the kind of stories that we all need to be taking home and talking about more.
All right, Secretary, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
Jackie McClaskey, the Ag Secretary in Kansas, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here, the time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
We're on the campus of Fort Hays State University, and Ag Day, were the opportunity for students and others to learn about agriculture and to talk about kind of how this all gets put on every year. Shaylin Akers, who is a student at Fort Hays, also the president of the Collegiate Farm Bureau.
Hi, I'm Shaylin Akers, and I'm the Ag Day chair here for today, and it took a lot of work. We started preparing the first semester of this year.
Okay, so there was an opportunity for not only a chance to give students a hamburger, but also learn more about all the different facets of Kansas agriculture.
Yeah, for sure. So we drew a lot of people in for sure for the free food. Every college kid likes the free food, but we also wanted to educate a lot of people about agriculture. That's pretty much what our club does, is advocate and educate. And we have anything here from like pork and swine, beef, to chickens, to all the commodities such as soybeans and corn and wheat.
Actually, milking a cow here too.
Oh yeah, we have a dairy demonstration as well as a calving demonstration, so the kids can also go act like they're pulling a calf themselves.
Sure, well, kind of very neat, very excellent opportunity. Okay, and so tell us a little bit about you and what you do here at Fort Hays.
I'm an ag business major, and I'm a senior here at Fort Hays. I came in as a junior, and I will graduate in May, and I'm going to continue my ag background, as I will be doing a grain merchant assistant job here in Hays to help the farmers around this area.
Well, sounds like great to keep you involved in agriculture. So I guess talk about all the planning that goes into this. Said you started it literally months ago. Talk about that process of pulling off something like this for all one day.
Yeah, so I know that in the past years they didn't really, they planned about 2 weeks ahead of time. So Steph and I, my advisor for the Collegiate Club, we decided that we were going to take the time and get this thing as big as we possibly could. And so we started months ago, started contacting everyone that we possibly could. We wanted everyone here to cover all of aspects of the agriculture industry. And we just kept contacting and making sure they were going to be here.
Okay, and then so talk about a little bit of your role with the Collegiate Farm Bureau, the opportunity to interact with students and just tell the story of agriculture.
Okay, so yeah, I love being in Farm Bureau. That way we can advocate and educate. I also like to get the younger group involved as well, as they are hopefully the next generation of ag.
Great. Well, we appreciate the time. Thanks for your effort. And, of course, we want to thank the Ellis County Farm Bureau also for helping you put this on.
Yes, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Shaylin Akers, who is a senior at Fort Hays State University and heads up the Ag Day that took place at Fort Hays here in Hays, Kansas. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail. Keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Well, Fort Hays State University held an Ag Day, and one of those sponsors was the Farm Bureau, Kansas Farm Bureau, Ellis County Farm Bureau, Collegiate Farm Bureau, and we're talking now with Jo Jansonius, who is part of the Women's Committee for North Central Kansas. So talk about this event, and we just completed, so what were some of your takeaways?
You know, the diversity of agriculture to me was so incredibly impressive. We saw everything today from chickens to bees to dairy cattle, pork. We even saw drones. And so I think the diversity was really impressive. But I think even beyond the diversity of the industry, the diversity of the people that we got to see and engage with today, I made some new friends from China, and that was really incredible to talk about the difference between agriculture in China and agriculture in the United States.
Well, it's an opportunity to kind of a soft sell, if you will, on all the different things of agriculture. We've talked a lot of times where people just think the food just comes into the grocery store and that's where it is.
Yeah, you know, we know that the average American is 3 to 4 generations removed from the family farm, and what a great way to tell our story and really show where their food comes from, that there is a backstory behind pulling it off the shelf at the grocery store, and to really allow people to make those connections with the people that grow their food is so incredibly important.
Now, we also want to let folks know, as your what you do with the Kansas Farm Bureau is a volunteer position, you're still a rancher.
Yes. My husband and I, we ranch in Northwest Kansas. We have a cow-calf operation, primarily cow-calf, and we farm just a little bit to feed the cows. But yes, I do ranch. I work from home as an educational consultant, and my position with Kansas Farm Bureau is volunteer. I work with women's leadership, and I'm really passionate about developing strong rural leaders in this part of the state that are equipped to tell the story of agriculture and advocate for our way of life.
Well, advocacy, leadership, development, those are things that, you know, one of the starting points is right here with these the students, the collegiate students, but also talk about what you do throughout the year with the committee.
Yes, so with the Women's Leadership Committee, we have several different projects. Probably my favorite is the Be Ag-Wise Conference, which is a conference that's held in 4 or 5 different locations across the state, where we go in and we present Ag in the Classroom resources to local County Farm Bureau members, and recently we've reached out to teachers and been able to provide continuing education credit for them to come and go through those workshops with us. So that's something that's really fun. Of course, at annual meeting every year, we have our silent auction that helps benefit ag education programs across the state, including things like today, because it was sponsored by the Kansas Farm Bureau Foundation.
Well, Jo, I know you've got lots to do, and thanks for your time and the service to agriculture. And maybe make that pitch in the remaining few seconds here of why, if you're a farmer or rancher, why you should be involved in maybe giving back in organizations like Farm Bureau or others.
Absolutely. We have an incredible responsibility as stewards of the land and stewards of our industry to tell the story about what we do. And with Farm Bureau being the voice of agriculture, if you will, it represents all of us. And there are so many extenuating outside forces, whether it's economical or politically speaking, that are coming after our industry. And so really when we're united as a whole, organizations like Farm Bureau make it possible to have a voice.
Jo Jansonius, who's with the Women's Leadership Committee for the Kansas Farm Bureau, one of those that participated in the Ag Day on the campus of Fort Hays State University in Hays. I'm Ken Rogers. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergence, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
The No-Till on the Plains organization is offering 2 opportunities to see soil health practices in action. The field days, both co-sponsored by the Kansas Soybean Commission, allow farmers to see how cover crops can enhance their bottom lines. The events are great opportunities to visit with farmers who once had questions about incorporating livestock into their enterprises and to learn from their experiences. Attendees also will see how cover crops can control weeds in soybeans and how that allows for extended rotation synergism. The May 2 event will be at Santa Fe Trail Farms near Windham, and the May 8 event will be at Lloyd Farms near Clay Center. On both days, registration begins at 8:30 a.m. The tours will include 2017 fields planted to cover crops for weed control, cover crops planted ahead of 2018 soybeans, wheat following cover crop soybeans, and livestock grazing cover crops. Lunch will be provided at noon both days. Reserve yours at notill.org on the web by April 27. The best agronomic practices can improve farmers' efficiency and profitability while providing other benefits, including less soil erosion and sedimentation, improved wildlife habitat, and sequestered carbon dioxide. No-Till on the Plains is an educational organization that provides information about those high-quality, continuous no-till systems. The Commission often partners with NTOP to provide practical, relevant advice from the farmers and scientists who are setting the standard in no-till systems.
Economic growth in Kansas depends on growth in agriculture, which has been the driving force behind the development of the Kansas Ag Growth Strategy Project over the past 2.5 years. It began with individual meetings between leaders in specific agricultural sectors, discussing the opportunities for growth within those sectors and the barriers to that growth. Then was followed by the Governor's Summit on Agricultural Growth in 2016 and 2017. Strategic planning during and after these summits identified desired outcomes within 19 specific sectors and action plans to achieve those outcomes. Documents outlining those action plans were recently published at the Ag Growth website, agriculture.ks.gov/growag, and work is underway on many of the initiatives identified in those plans. During this process, it has been clear that statewide growth will require collaboration across the industry, in all sectors and throughout the production chain. We are all interconnected in many ways. It will also require participation and engagement from all corners of the state and from all sectors in the industry to bring about the outcomes we envision for the growth of Kansas agriculture. We encourage farmers, ranchers, agribusiness owners, community leaders, and all those interested in economic development to look at the new documents and see where you can be engaged in the project. And we hope you all plan to attend the 3rd Annual Ag Growth Summit in Manhattan on August 23rd. While challenges exist, the opportunity for growth and the willingness of the Kansas agriculture industry to work together to address those challenges is far greater. Working together, these outcomes can be accomplished. Growing agriculture and growing Kansas.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Livestock Association officers and staff were in Washington, D.C. April 10th through the 12th to meet with members of the Kansas congressional delegation and federal agency officials. The trip was in conjunction with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association Legislative Conference. The KLA group focused on immigration reform, electronic logging device regulations, the upcoming farm bill, and trade. Led by KLA President Lee Reeve of Garden City, members emphasized the importance of immigration reform in creating opportunities to grow animal agriculture in Kansas. An effective guest worker program that addresses the year-round labor needs of dairies and feed yards was a specific request from the KLA group. Members expressed the need for legislative and regulatory relief from the electronic logging device mandate and hours of service rules during meetings with elected officials and personnel from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. During meetings with members of Congress, KLA expressed support in the new Farm Bill for enhancements to foreign animal disease response efforts, including the funding for a more robust foot and mouth disease vaccine bank. On trade, the group emphasized the need to continue uninterrupted trade with China, maintaining favorable aspects for agriculture currently contained in the North American Free Trade Agreement, and developing a bilateral agreement with Japan.
Good morning. I'm Derek Hermish with Paragon Ag. The American Country Music Awards were on the other night, and I flipped it on for a bit. It's fair to say modern country music and me just don't enjoy each other's company like we used to. It was a good, humbling reminder, however, of how little my opinion matters in the outcome of things I can't control. That's a good lesson to learn and carry with you when it comes to marketing. Your opinion matters to you and the decisions you make, but the market does not care about your opinion. Even if your opinion ends up being right in the long run, you can be made to feel the pain enough of being wrong in the short run to the point where being right doesn't matter anymore. From a producer's standpoint, risk management should never be boiled down to right or wrong anyway. You should aim to make smart decisions based on the information you have and the bottom line you must protect. You don't need to remove your opinion from influencing the marketing decisions you make, but you need to understand its value in order to be successful. Successful marketing plans aren't about being right all the time. It's about giving yourself a chance to participate when you are right, but not having it hurt too much when you're wrong. It sounds easy in theory, but for anybody that's participated in the process, they know it can be more frustrating than sitting through an entire Keith Urban song. If you're looking for some help with the process, give us a call. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Well, that's our show for this week. If you want to see the show again or ag information online anytime, go to KansasAgReport.net or be social with us by liking us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching the Kansas Ag Report.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here. The time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.